Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing the Booktube newbie tag. I saw Charlie from Walls of Horror do this, and I really liked learning more about him, and I found out that it's a thing from his video, so I thought I would give it a go as well and tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm in a different room of the house today, just for a change, but don't worry, I'm still wearing the same jumper that I wear in pretty much every video. Also, just to preface this, I am in quite a lot of physical pain today from my neck, my back, my ankle and my foot. So if you see me kind of cringing at any point, it might be that. But let's get started. I've written down my questions here in what turned out to be really poor, illegible handwriting, so we'll see how I go. Question 1, why did I start this channel? So you'll see from my earliest videos that one reason I started the channel was because I decided that I was going to write my short stories and try to get them published in a book. And I wanted to create the YouTube channel as a kind of accompaniment to that writing journey. So it was partly to connect with other authors and aspiring authors on YouTube. It was partly to kind of hold myself accountable in the journey and keep me sort of going. This idea that I was also telling someone about what I was doing would help to motivate me. And it was also because I guess I wanted to start building an audience and find people who might be interested in reading my work as well. Question 2, what are some unique things that I can bring to Booktube? So I'm not gonna lie, until I started the channel and until a couple of months in, I've been going since January, I'd never heard of Booktube. Didn't really know what it was, never heard of Book Talk, never heard of Booktube, never heard of AuthorTube, anything like that. Because prior to starting the channel, it's not like a topic I was engaging with on social media. There's the ankle. I'm not an avid social media user anyway. And when I did use it, I was never really engaging in anything to do with books, reading or writing. So the whole Booktube thing, the whole communities that there are out there, is something that is completely new to me. I think that what I can bring with my channel is the fact that I am kind of at the early point or the starting point of my writing journey, and I'm documenting that in real time, week by week, telling you what I'm doing with my stories, what I'm struggling with, starting a new story, finishing a story, doing the research, all these different things, the different challenges, either in writing terms or in life terms. Those are all on my channel. And I think that that is something, I don't know if it's unique necessarily, but a lot of the other people that I follow are further on in their journey, so they're already published authors, for example, and it's a little bit of a different style of content, so I hope that I can bring something unique there. Question 3, what am I most excited about for the channel, or the Chanel, as I've written here? I think I'm most excited as the months go on to see the channel grow and really to connect with other people who are interested in, passionate about writing, no matter what stage they're at. So I'm really excited to learn more from other authors who are more experienced, further along in their writing and publishing journeys, to be able to connect with those people and learn more from them. It's really exciting to learn from those experiences, but I also get really excited when people comment on one of my videos and say, oh, watching this has given me like a bit of a push to like start my writing journey. That gets me really excited and happy as well. So I love that. Question 4, why do I love reading? So I've loved reading and done a lot of reading since I was a little kid. I would say especially as a kid and a young person, I read a lot. I was an avid reader. And why do I love it? It's probably the same reason why I loved it then. It's the immersion into different worlds and characters and the places that reading a book can take you, and what it enables you to do with your own imagination and your own mind to complete those pictures. I think yeah, that's why I love it, really. It's the journey that reading takes you on that feels very immersive, internally immersive. I don't know if that makes sense. Question 5, what book or series got me into reading? So, sorry, I just have some coffee. I don't remember a specific book that got me into reading, because I think I was reading from, well, when I was like 4 or something, so I can't remember anything specific. I can remember some specific books that I was obsessed with as a kid, and I used to read over and over again. And to see if I can see them on my bookshelf. I'm not sure where they are. So some books that I especially loved as a small kid would be Seasons of Splendor by Madhur Jaffrey, Ludo and the Star Horse. I can't remember who the author is of that. I do remember reading Watership Down by Richard Adams when I was about 6, 7. Sorry. I just said 6, 7 and I made myself laugh because of my kids. So I remember reading Watership Down when I was quite young, probably too young to be reading it, actually, and I was quite frightened by it. But I read quite a lot of books when I was small, and I was probably too young to read them. But nevertheless, adored them and obsessed about them, and reread lots of books as well. So I don't think there's a specific book, certainly not a specific series that I was particularly into. What I tended to do when I was younger, and still do now to some extent, is I would sort of find an author that was new to me, and then I would want to read everything that they had written, or as many of their books as I could find. So when I was a kid, I think I read Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens, and then I wanted to read more Dickens books, and I read Great Expectations, Christmas Carol. I can't actually remember off the top of my head because it was so long ago what other ones I read, but I wanted to try and read. I think I remember trying to read Nicholas Nickleby or David Copperfield, and I just couldn't get through it. But I was like 9, so. And then when I was a bit older, maybe 12, I discovered Stephen King, and then I wanted to read over the next few years like as many Stephen King books as I could. And then at some point, probably still as a teenager, I read Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, and then I wanted to read as many Michael Crichton novels as I could, and kind of went on a bit like that. Did the same thing with Emile Zola as well. So I do tend to do that, tend to get into an author and get really into them. Graham Greene was another one. And then at some point I kind of go off these people. So at some point I was like, I don't like Graham Greene anymore. But I was just looking up now, I can still see like dozens of his books on my shelves. So yeah, I don't think there was a specific book or series that got me into reading. I would say I read quite broadly as a child and a young person. Question 6, where do I read? Ooh, this is an interesting one. So I have to read a lot for my job. I'm a researcher, so I have to read a lot of research papers and books and so on. And when I'm doing that, I'm sitting at my desk where I work from home all day. And because of that, I don't ever read for pleasure on a computer or on a screen. I do like a physical book. I don't have like any e-reader or anything like that. So where do I read? I actually probably read the most when I'm traveling or away from home, either on holiday or traveling for work. And then so I'm reading on the train, on the bus, in a hotel, somewhere away from home. And sometimes I also read in bed before I go to sleep, but actually not that often. Something in my brain just switches when I'm away from home into like a reading mode and I want to read. But a lot of the time when I'm at home and I'm in my day-to-day life and my work life, I often don't feel like reading much anymore. Never used to be like that. I do feel like it's since I started working in academia and spending a lot of time reading for my work that it kind of reduced my desire to read a bit outside of work. I don't think it reduced my desire. I think something in my brain or something in the rest of my body doesn't feel like doing it as much. Anyway, so that's where I read the most. Number 7, what does my book collection look like? So I can show you a bit what some of it looks like. Here is our bookshelves, including lots of little trinkets and stuff. So this is actually a mix of my books, my partner's books, kids' books, and all sorts. That's just one side. And here's some more. We also have a bookshelf upstairs, which has got some more books on as well. And there's usually a pile of books next to my bed as well. I would also say that a lot of the books we read in our house, we pick them up in like book exchange boxes or secondhand shops. We read them and then we pass them on to secondhand shops as well. So a lot of what we read is just kind of passes through the house as well. Number 8, what questions would you ask your favourite booktuber? I think the questions that I'm interested in are really the practical ones. And by that I mean, how do you all become authors? How do you become writers? Have people always been professional writers, or did they have like a career change, and how did they manage that? I like to know things like their people's writing routines, especially if they are parents or caregivers. If people have full-time or part-time jobs alongside their writing. This is the kind of thing I'm interested in asking people, because those are the things I'm like juggling and struggling with. So any sort of advice and support on that is really helpful, I think. I think the other thing that I would love to ask people about that have more experience than me is about that journey towards publication, about sending out the queries to agents, kind of opening up what feels like a bit of a black box to me. I know lots of people do that on their channels, which is really, really helpful. And that's the type of questions that I often want to ask people, essentially, because that still feels very like abstract and far away for me, such that it's very difficult for me to imagine like making a strategy about how I want to publish my work, because to me it's too abstract, and I struggle with like future thinking and long-term planning. That's difficult for me. So I would love to ask people about that. And question 9, this is the last one. Challenges you will have to overcome. So I kind of spoke to that in the last question, really. The main challenges I have are not really to do with my writing, I have to say. They are to do with managing and or initiating all the things that come with writing, but also juggling all the things that come with life. So doing the writing alongside work, doing it alongside having kids and a family, like how to manage those things or managing those things, that is a real challenge for me. Like once I sit down and I get into my writing, it's usually not a problem, and it's also not really a challenge for me. The idea of, you know, like drafting and editing, of getting feedback, critique, rejection, those things, although they are challenging, I'm not really that worried about, because those are things that I'm used to dealing with as an academic, because that's also part of our sort of research, writing and publishing journey as academics. So those things don't worry me too much. What worries me or what challenges me is trying to manage everything at once. And I think that I do have a tendency in work and in life to overcommit, meaning that I'm like super enthusiastic about things and I'm like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to like start a new routine, it's going to be a habit, I'm going to do it every week, blah blah blah. And then I really struggle to maintain those habits and those routines, partly because I'm trying to do lots of things at once, and partly because like the daily slog of life is really exhausting and overwhelming for me. So that means that I sort of struggled. I struggled day to day anyway, even if you take writing out of the equation. Adding in the writing and the YouTube channel, and I've created a lot of extra work for myself, essentially. And I don't want it to just be another like empty commitment that I made to myself that just falls by the wayside. Like I want it to mean something and I want to achieve something with this. But sometimes that determination and like my own commitment, it's not actually enough to push me to the finish line, because there's lots of other factors that also matter that I have to take into account. So that would be my main challenge. And I wouldn't really say challenge to overcome. It's a challenge to navigate on a daily basis. I think a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. I don't know if it's something that I'm going to be able to overcome because of who I am as a person. And that is okay. So that's all the questions. I apologise if that felt like kind of a long ramble, long rambling conversation. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about me. Tell me about yourself in the comments. What are you working on? What are you writing? What are the challenges that you have to overcome? I've just realised that the camera on my new phone looks like a little kind of alien face. And now I feel like it's looking at me. Anyway, thank you everybody for being here. I will talk to you soon. Bye.